I guess with this presentation, it's really, Jack, we're just kind of throwing Jack under the bus here. We're just going to kind of talk about, I asked him to come on to talk a little bit more about SDR radio, because that was sort of the end of his presentation, and we didn't get to spend a ton of time on it. But I think it's kind of important. Not everybody knows or understands what software-defined radio is, and that might be a good place to start, Jack. And then maybe, you kind of know where to take it. But maybe with talking about the remote radio systems and how those work. And I think people are going to start having questions about that. So do you want to kind of lead off a little bit more in depth about SDR radio and it's kind of where we are in that whole technology now? Are you muted, Jack? Sorry.
Yes, certainly. Well, I'm not an expert in software-defined radios, but the basic concept is it's completely different than the radios we all knew back in the 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s even. And I'm just amazed at how small and compact these little radios can be. And they're so powerful. And they've got so many features, and they just kind of blow a lot of other radios sort of out of the water. In fact, a lot of transceivers today are basically software-defined receivers, even the more modern, the bigger ones, not just the little tiny ones. But tonight, what I wanted to do is focus a little bit more on the use of software-defined radio receivers around the world. I mean, remember when we were shortwave listeners, we had to have a radio, and we had somehow have to have an antenna outside our window. Now you can go and select a radio anywhere in the world. So you can get a lot closer to the station or the country you want to listen to, depending on the time of day, and everything else, you just go there. So I'd like to start out, first of all, are most of you HF operators, or would you have actually used one of these software-defined radios like the Northern Utah SDR radios? Tom's shaking his head yes. A lot of people, yeah, okay, David. Yeah, I noticed a lot of people, I hear a lot of people saying that they're listening to their net. Thanks, Lee. Listening to a net, and they're listening to the Northern Utah receiver in order to hear their participants on their net. That's a real common thing. So a lot of people have gotten real familiar with using SDRs through that process. So one of the things I wanted to kind of share with you is I think I mentioned in my talk, I have a software-defined receiver that's a publicly available receiver up at the Hurricane Mesa test site with a 980-foot long wire. It's basically a beverage wire. There's four of them actually pointing in four different directions. And it's a nice thing about it. It's in a location where it's super quiet, and you can access it over the internet. And all it takes is a browser. You can do it on your iPhone, your any kind of a cell phone, any kind of a browser that you can, Chrome or whatever. You can bring it up and listen to it. I oftentimes will listen to it in the car, and then Bluetooth the audio to my speakers in the car, so that I can kind of listen on whatever conversation, early morning conversation of nets or whatever, even traveling across the country. You can do that as long as you have an internet connection. You can access these software-defined radios.
What is the app you were talking about, Jack?
What's that?
The app, you said it was an app you can use on your phone? There was an app you said that you use?
I just bring Chrome up on my cell phone.
You just do it through a web browser. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'd like to share the interface, just a quick interface on it. Can I share my screen?
Yeah. Brett, since you're hosting, I don't have control right now, but hopefully Brett is. Yep.
Yeah. So let me see if I can share here. Oh, screen two.
You should be able to. There we go. Is that working?
I think so. Hold on a second.
Yep, we can see it.
Can you see the screen?
Yep, we sure can.
All right. So this, what you're seeing is the waterfall of the radio. I don't know if you can hear it. I'm unmuted here. I'm not sure. But anyway, so it covers all the way down below the AM broadcast band up to 30 megahertz. We've got some filters that we use on it to block some of the AM power on it, or the local AM stations, from getting into the front end of the receiver. And then we've got a filter that filters out any kind of FM. We've got a cell site up there on our site. Well, it's not really a cell site. It's actually a public service repeater. But anyway, so this receiver is called a Web 88. It's similar to the Kiwi SDR receivers. And the unique thing about these receivers, these particular ones we're talking about tonight, is they have a built-in server in them. So they stand alone. You just simply you plug in a 5-volt power supply to them and they light up. You log into them with your browser and you connect an antenna to them. And then you just connect them to the internet and people connect directly to that little receiver. They don't have to go through your computer or anything. It's just a standalone receiver. So you could pretty much throw this up anywhere you got an internet service to it. And over here in the bottom right, how well can you see that on the bottom right? Can you read the text and everything on this right here?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, we can read it.
So what I wanted to share is some of the little tricks that you can use for this. First of all, you can double click the frequency thing in there, the frequency window, and you just, of course, put anything you want. There's the CW portion of the 20-meter band. And you can change different modes. I listen to a lot of the morning AM on 3885 AM modes, synchronous AM, digital mode there, lower sideband, upper sideband. And if you double click those upper sideband, lower sideband, they go to narrow. So they go to narrow automatically. And it's CW. And so the easiest thing to do to tune it is to just type in a frequency and you get close to it. And then these little arrows here, you can either zoom in using these plus and minus symbols, or if you're on a frequency, you can just hit these arrows that come together and it does a quick zoom all the way in. Same thing here, it zooms all the way out and you can see all the entire spectrum from 1 kilohertz all the way up to 30. And you go right back to where you were listening to it. You can do a lot of things. You can also, there's these little drop-down menus are kind of neat. You can select broadcast bands like shortwave and utility frequencies, amateur radio frequency, beacons, and all kinds of stuff in here. And that's kind of neat. Over here is really cool. It's got a whole group of extensions, and what those are little features like FT8's real popular. So let's try the FT8. We click on FT8 and it brings a little window up here in the very bottom. And you just bring this little drop up window or drop down window up here and let's tune to 14074. And that's a popular FT8 frequency on 20 meters. And so, and it'll do FT4 too. You just have to select FT8 or FT4 and it'll bring up the different frequencies for each one of those different modes. But what it'll do is it'll listen for the 15 seconds. And what you'll see up here in the upper half of the screen is its decode. And there it was right there. That's its decode right there. And the neat thing about this receiver is it'll accommodate 13 independent users, totally independent. I mean, the users can be listening to anything they want to, any frequency, any mode, whatever. So a lot of times what I'll do is I'll open more than one window on my browser and I'll select my 2 or 3 different frequencies I want to listen to, maybe on FT8. And I'll just bring them all up and they'll all be decoding, simultaneously. And I'll just kind of watch propagation and see what's happening. So that's kind of fun.
And
some of these other little features here, I'm looking at the users right now. And I guess what I should do is share with you how to get to this. If you go into www.rx-888, well, let's see.
Could you paste that and put it in the chat? Yeah.
Yeah, I'll put that in chat. Okay, we'll do that later.
And then everybody can jump in the chat and copy that down.
Yeah. So hold on one second here. Hold on a second. Just throw that in here right now while I'm thinking about it.
Great.
Yeah, did that work? Oh, somebody's already beat me to it. All right. Way to go, Adam. Way to go, Adam. That's great. So yeah, so that's the one that'll get you this map. Now, if I zoom in here, come on, update. Yeah, now if I zoom in here, you can see there's the little marker for southwestern Utah. If I click on that, it brings up this little thing here. It says, gives the little address to it, to Hurricane Mesa. And you click on that, And then that takes you directly to the receiver. Yeah, and I'm gonna copy that address because that address is the one that you want to go directly to if you want to listen to the receiver up at the Mesa. And it looks like Adam already beat me to that. Thanks, Adam. I
I
didn't
go
see
to
that.
it now and then. It's pretty
Yeah.
handy to have that bookmarked.
So some of these receivers will ask you for your call sign, and you can over here in the bottom right hand corner you can type in your call sign, WA7L and W. And when you do that, then when people are looking through the users, like I'm on receiver 0 here, you'll see it's got my call sign, and then I see Adam's got his call sign in there. It's kind of fun to put your call sign in so everybody knows who's who. But I get people logging into this receiver from all over the world, which is kind of fun. So let's look at a couple of other features here. One of the ones that I think is kind of important is this AGC. So when you get to you can actually adjust it. It has a threshold or an adjustment for sideband, and you can see down below there's the S meter down below, and so you can kind of change the threshold. We're in CW mode, so there's a separate control for CW. And that makes a big difference. You know, if it's set too high, you won't hear any signals. You bring it down low, it brings a lot of noise in. It's like any other thing. It's like an RF control. So let's go into upper sideband. Now you can make that same adjustment with the upper sideband threshold. It's kind of fun to play with all these things. I only use a few of them. Um, I just leave everything on default. I don't really do much more than that. If you want to adjust the waterfall, you can click this waterfall 8, come over here and click the auto scaling, and you can see it'll kind of change. The signals will be a little bit more defined. I got the RF gain kind of thing turned off, so that's not working. And so how about some of your questions? What kind of questions for those that may not be this familiar with this is some of you? Can I answer any questions?
Yeah, I've got a question, Jack. Thanks for showing us this. I've been playing around with it from time to time, and it's you've already answered my number one question, which was how to go into narrow mode. So you just double click on the like upper sideband or lower sideband to get switch between narrow and wide. Is that right?
That's right. And there's another way to do that too, Adam. See my cursor up here at the top? And it
Yep.
says, yeah, the bandwidth is all you do is use the wheel on your mouse. And
Okay.
you can widen that up. So we've got, I think, set to like 2,800. It's kind of tight. Yeah, 2,800. I always, as soon as I get on a signal, like a sideband signal for sure, I get up there and I just widen it up because I like to listen to it,
Okay.
more natural. Mm-hmm.
And the other thing I was wondering is because I see with the extensions you got a number of different decoders. Is there a RTTY decoder for RTTY, or is that not something it does?
There is not an extension for RTTY, which I find is kind of a little strange, because that's also a common mode. Was that your question?
Yeah, yeah. I was just making sure it wasn't hidden somewhere. I searched for it the other day and couldn't find it.
Yeah. So there's Whisper. So you can click Whisper and it'll bring up the Whisper window, and of course
Yeah.
it takes 2 minutes to do that. Another one that's fun to do is I like once in a while is bring up the slow scan television. And I usually go to 14230. That's my favorite frequency. And of course, there's nothing on there right now, but it'll start decoding like little squares across the screen right next to each other up there. And I'll just leave it there and let it monitor all day long. I'll come back in. There will be all kinds of little cartoon characters and stuff like that up there.
The one thing I also learned that I really like is you can go between the BFOs between A and B just by
You
clicking
can.
on A and it'll go to B. Yeah. I discovered
Mhm.
that the other day. I think it's great.
Yeah, you can do that. And then you can also click on those three little bars there, click on it, and it saves the last frequencies. Autosave is disabled. Oh, yeah, right now it'll just save all the different frequencies that you've been listening to. So you can, go back and recall them real quickly. And there's another thing here. It's really kind of advanced, but not really advanced. So if you're a shortwave listener or whatever, hold on a second. it gives you a list of things you can do here. If you just click, I'm right clicking, not the left click, but the right clicking. You can go to different databases. Like they've got this one database here. Um, let's see here. Is that the one? No, it's not it. I thought this was it right here. You can click on that. It brings up the shortwave info page. And you have to kind of play with it a little bit, but you can actually put in frequencies and it'll actually bring up a map, and it'll show you, if let's say you've received a signal, you're not really sure what country or what it is all about, you can put the frequency in there and you can actually bring this up and it'll show you what's on 9590 right now, which is BBC English. And it's being the transmitter's out in the middle of in the middle of nowhere, I guess, to us. But anyway, it shows you where the transmitter is and all that kind of stuff. And you can select only English or whatever language you want to listen to. So that's kind of a neat feature. And you can do that right from the user interface. Now, this user interface that's on the Web 88 here is exactly the same user interface as for the Kiwi SDR. So if we went to the Kiwi SDR page, let's just do that. Just type in Kiwi SDR, and we go to the web page for Kiwi SDR, and that's what their little receiver looks like. But the user interface is the same, and the neat thing about that as well is there is a map, and you can click on it. Now there's more of these receivers out there in the world than there are the Web 88. The difference between the interface is that the Kiwi can only accept, I think, like 4 listeners at a time. I think that's the limit. But if I click on one of these, you'll see that it's pretty much the same interface. Let's see, same user interface. Yeah, see there? And you can click on the little play button and you're off and running. Yeah, and you can, so
I got a question for you.
Go ahead.
You said you're using 4 beverage antennas.
I do. I've got 4 beverages on the ground.
How do you have those connected?
They're connected through, so picture a 980-foot wire laying on the ground, northeast, and looking into Europe like a beverage would. It comes into a impedance matching box to match the impedance between the 300 ohms or whatever that wire is to 50 ohms. And that comes into a little center box where I can select the different directions. And out of that goes to a preamp.
Okay, that's the question I had. You had 4 of them, so you're selecting one at a time, not using all 4.
Yes,
okay,
that's correct. I can do that. Let me see here. I'm not sure we've got it.
And just so you know, David, we will tonight be uploading the June. I know we're way behind, but we just got access to our YouTube channel finally. So we're going to be uploading the June club meeting. And in that presentation, Jack does have a ton of pictures from up on Hurricane Mesa where he's got a lot of this stuff set up. So that'll be up online. I'll make an announcement. We'll put it on an email so you can go back and watch that presentation.
So I'd like to listen to 80 meters, 75 meters, and especially late at night when Europeans are talking, late at night when the East Coast of the United States is talking into England and all that, into these nets. And so I have a few favorite SDR receivers over in Europe that I like to listen to. One of them is G3 SDR, and you can bring up the map and you can kind of click around over there and find it. I'll put this one in because it's kind of a cool one too. G3 SDR. And there's its address. So this is a receiver over in England. And it's a neat thing is he's got a little schematic of his setup there. He's got like a dipole, and it goes into a whole bunch of different filters. He actually has individual filters for different band segments. It does real well. I like to listen to it a lot. You can go to that receiver and you can listen to European AM broadcast stations, kind of listen to the news and traffic reports, all that kind of stuff, I guess. and as well as you can listen to the hand bands, and it's kind of fun. You have to remember when you connect to one of these overseas, you have to remember the time difference. So you might be a lot of stations here because it's daylight and all that, and over there it might be in the middle of the night. So kind of keep in mind if you don't find a lot of signals on, and then vice versa, depending on what time it is and everything. So there's a little arrow up here, and most of these have a little bit of information. So it says antenna is a parallel dipole for 160, 80, 60, and 40 meters, a 5/8 vertical with masthead preamp for 28 megahertz. And so that's what that one has to say about it. If you go to the one up at the Mesa, let me get out of the. If you go up to the Mesa, you read that and it says antennas northeast, northwest, east, and west, 980-foot bogs. That's all it says. But we did put a picture in there. So this is a picture of where that receiver is located. It's there's a little white building sitting on the top of that mesa right there. And about 300 feet behind that building is the center where all those antennas come together.
I'm on the frequency that was supposed to be turning in at. I've never participated.
I'm
Okay.
sorry.
Yep. There you go. Yeah. There we go. Whoever it was. Yeah. I think they muted. All right. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah. Any questions? Oh, this over here, it looks like a bowling or a golf ball sitting on top of a tee. That's a water tank. That's a big water tank up there. And on top of that's a square building. And it at one time it housed these big gigantic Bowen cameras that the military used back in the 50s. So anyway, we still use that water tank is still used to provide water. But this building over here, the little white one, is kind of a storage building. And so back in the back of there, I've got a couple of folding tables, and I've just got the receiver and everything all laid out there, and it works really good. Nobody uses that building but us. So it's kind of fun. So,
hey, Jack, question.
Yes, sir.
Are you familiar with Open Web RX?
I'm sorry, I'm having a hard time with the audio for some reason. On my end, I'm having some kind of scratchiness. I'm not sure why. So it's just repeat that again. We'll listen.
Open Web RX.
What about the RX?
Open Web RX is also an SDR. AL7BX, George has an Open Web RX.
Where's he at? Is he up in Cedar?
He is in Cedar, and he has one on Iron Mountain. He has.
He's really into VHF F2, isn't he?
Right, VHF, UHF. He's got several antennas there, loop antennas, verticals, and so forth. And I've sometimes made experiments on 220 and 900, and I requested him to put up antennas so I could see my signal strength from his Open Web RX on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
yeah,
it's another type of SDR, I suppose.
Yeah, there's actually quite a few of them out there, aren't there? There's like a SDR Play. SDR Play is a type of receiver that it just does a single band. Where well, this one does a single band too. I was thinking about something else, but yeah. So yeah, there's several different types of SDRs out there, and they're awful fun to play with. I see we got a few more users here. Yeah, a few more of you logged in. That's neat.
Hey, Jack, there was a question in the chat too about maybe if something would it be advantageous to install something with the club in one of our sites. What are your thoughts on that?
Okay, I'm looking for that question. How do I install?
It's saying they're saying would it be advantageous? It was Don, and he said would it be advantageous to install an SDR maybe on Utah Hill, but we also have Tokerville that has a little bit of real estate. I don't know what kind of real estate we would need, but that might be a hindrance on Utah Hill. But I'm just wondering if this would be something the club might want to look into doing too.
Yeah, it would be good maybe for the VHF, UHF frequencies because the antennas are smaller, and you could mount it somewhere up high where that antenna would be more efficient. On the HF bands, the lower frequency bands, you're just typically looking for some location that's really quiet, gets you away from all the power line noise and all that kind of stuff. And then there's with these beverages on the ground, there's a lot of preamps involved. The first preamp is an 18 dB preamp. Then it goes 300 feet of RG6 back to the building. Once it gets there, it goes through an 11 dB preamp. And then it splits off because there's a number of SDR receivers up there for different modes that I'm using. And it splits off into active splitters. And so you can actually adjust the gain so that all the receivers receive the exact same amount of gain from the antenna source.
Are those beverage antennas user selectable or not?
Yeah, say that again, David. I'm sorry.
With the 4 beverage antennas, are they user selectable or just?
Yeah, so they're selectable, but I can't collect them. I can't put all 4 of them together. I'm using a little RCS10 Ameritron antenna switch, and so it doesn't allow us to combine.
Right, but can the user online select which antenna, which direction to listen?
Yeah, that's a good question. That's a good question. You can. I think I'm not sure that it's. Let's put it here. Okay, so right now on the screen there, if you look at the extension, when I open this up and I come down to where is it? Antenna switch. And when I do that, then it brings up, you got 4 directions. See that? Northeast, northwest, east, and west. And
okay, that answers it.
So it's not perfect, David. So say I want to do the northwest. I click northwest, but I got to remember to come up here to the northeast and turn that indicator off. Now it reminds me that we're on the northwest bog. And the same thing, if I wanted to go to west, I have to click on west, but I have to remember to turn off the northwest. It's just the way the software works. At the very, very bottom, you can turn off turn off this, but don't mess with those, because if you do that, I have to go back in and access a different system to get those back on. I'll put it back on the northeast. That's listening into Europe. So this address, I'll put it up here. I've never tried to. I'll share that. So this particular address gets you into the receiver, but also gives you the antenna selection capability. So any other questions on? Let's see.
How many? You might have said this earlier, and I might have missed it. So, is the total number of users at one time? What is that?
You can have 13 users. So if you click on the little user tab, yeah, and then you scroll up, you can see it goes all the way down to, well, it starts with 0. So it goes 0 to 12, gives you a total of 13.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, James uses it, KI7NTK in our plug. Yeah, he uses it to listen to his QRP radio when he's out doing POTA operations.
Oh, that's a good idea. Yeah.
Yeah. If you want this interface to kind of, you can kind of get rid of it. Kind of goes over to the side. See if you don't need it, you can click on that little arrow to bring it back. There's one other thing here I haven't showed you yet. See this SPEC? If you click on that, it brings up another little above window, and that shows the RF. If you click it a second time, it shows you AF, audio frequencies. So, and then you just click it a third time, it takes it away. But it's kind of fun to have that. Makes it really colorful, doesn't it? Yeah.
On the antenna thing, I do have one other question real quick. On the antenna selection that you were doing earlier,
yes.
You obviously said at the very bottom, don't hit the one switch. I forgot what it was called at the bottom. But is it when you're switching antennas, does it matter the order? In other words, can you turn off the antenna you're on, then turn on another one? Or do you need to turn on another one first? Does that matter?
Let me see if I can bring that up again here. See if I close this audio. Do that and come back to the antenna switch. It's not perfect. It's not really perfect the way it works, but yeah, to answer your question, so it only lets you select one direction at a time. So for instance, Keith, if you wanted to listen to the Northwest, Oregon, and Washington State, you can come down here and click on that antenna 2 Now it's not working for some reason. So it's
That's
not
what I was
perfect.
wondering. Yeah, so you don't have to turn the other one off first. You just go and click the next antenna, then go back and turn one off, hopefully,
Yeah, I'm going to
if
refresh
it's
this.
working.
Yeah, if it's working, you're right. So let me
Okay.
refresh that and go back to the antenna. Now let me see if I click on. Oh, okay. So I had to refresh it. I guess it lost track of what we were doing there. So I'll go back to the northeast, turn off northwest. It's just a reminder to let you know what position it's in. Um, I've got another. Hold on 1 second here. See if it's going to bring it up here. Hold on 1 second. So there's another. So this is another receiver. This is an SDR play receiver that's up there. And you see this little kind of a compass thing. It does the same thing. I can use it to select those 4 antenna directions. And it's more reliable, but this receiver, this particular access is not public access because it just doesn't work that way. But this is an SDR play receiver. Some of you may have one of these and you'll recognize it. It's an SDR RPSDX. I think it's the model number of it, but it works the same way. You can zoom in on it and everything like that. But it doesn't work in a public setting as well. It's more of a single user type of a situation. So anyway, pull that back off of there. How many people use the Northern Utah system? Let's see here. Northern Utah SDR. And it's really cool. It's amazing. It's actually, I think it's got 36 radios. Last time I checked it, had 36 receivers all connected to different antennas. And like this yellow one, they've color coded them. Yellow is for real low frequency up to 40, and it's good for AM broadcasts and kind of tells you what it's good for. Green and so forth and so on. So let's click on this one, the green one, SDR2. And then it tells you all about the receiver. It has a bunch of good technical information. And the user interface is completely different. First of all, you have to click on, in order to hear it, you have to come over here and click on Chrome Audio. And if you access it with your cell phone or an Apple, you have to click on an iPhone. I think it's called an iPhone audio. But anyway, you click on that, and then that starts the audio up for you. Same thing, you can zoom in and out, type in the frequency you want to listen to, change the mode and all that. And so that's what it looks like. There's a number of these receivers. There's one in Washington, D.C. You click on that little link. On here it says click to start audio, so you can start the audio. But this is a receiver. It's got a little bit different. Some of these have a little bit different interface, each one of them, which is kind of unique.
There's a question in the chat from Butch asking about, aside from what sounds like casual listening, are there other uses that you have for these types of interfaces, these public ones?
Yeah,
I mean,
hear
obviously, there was a question from Butch in the chat there about, aside from just casual listening, are there other uses? I mean, one of them obviously is what you mentioned James does, where he, listens to his signal when he's doing QRP, POTA, or SOTAs. Are there some other things that these are used for besides just sort of casual listening?
Sometimes on nets, like on 60-meter nets on Wednesdays that we have, we use the SDR when we can't really hear you directly.
So let's see if I can find the one over in Switzerland. There's one over in Switzerland. Oh, here we go, right here. Is this the one? There's one over in Switzerland. His user interface is really unique. I'm not sure how to get to it right offhand, but it's a whole world out there. You just have to get out there and explore and find. And when you find a radio receiver you really enjoy using, bookmark it like you would on anything else on your browser, and then just visit it once in a while. Some people are pretty savvy as far as writing the software that makes all this stuff work.
Yeah, it would probably be pretty good if people do find interesting different websites to go to and different SDR radios around the world. Um, we should have a thread on Groups.io. Maybe drop some of the cool links that you find in the Groups.io chat. That'd be a great way to share it with other people in the club.
Yeah, I'll do that. So anyway, one of the things is you might want to listen to an SDR in Israel. Well, there's one that's, believe it or not, it's active even during the conflict over there. And there's another one it's not in Iran that's on currently, but the Middle East has several that you can listen to. And so it's kind of interesting to kind of listen to it. Israeli, the AM stations are transmitting Hebrew and Arabic on the other stations, but it gets you pretty close to the action, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of neat. So
That's interesting. Anybody have any other questions? We got about roughly 12 minutes left here. Oh, Ivory is asking if there's any in Russia. I'm sure there are.
Oh yeah, there is. Let's take a look real quick here. So let's go to let's just go to the Kiwi SDR map. It's got a lot more receivers. So you're asking in Russia. So here's one right here. I can't pronounce the town that it's in, but it says it's in Russia. So we click on it and to enable audio, whatever that is. Okay. And there it is. This one only goes up to 40 meters. I noticed the frequency was limited. But yeah, you can listen to North Korea. I know you can pick up North Korea on 75 meters early in the morning, especially on the receiver up there at the test site. Just listen to it, and you can hear the AM carrier, and you can actually hear the audio some mornings. But you can pick a receiver closer to that area, and you can easily listen into North Korea. Let's get here. So you got North Korea right in here, and here's all these Japanese stations you could use to listen to it. The guys down in Australia are nice. They've got some really good receivers down there, and you can pick up some of the shortwave broadcast being broadcast out to Vanuatu and some of the South Pacific Islands. Here's that station I was thinking about in Qatar. Click on it. It gets you kind of close to what's going on. Click to start the SDR. And so there you are. That's right there near the straits where all the issues are going on. And we'll see over there right now. It's I'm not sure what time it is in the morning, but it's probably morning time. It's in the middle of the night in Europe, right? Well, it's what is it, 2 o'clock in the morning in England, so it's probably like 5 in the here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I was in Dubai filming one time, I think I can't remember if it would have been winter. So on daylight or on standard time, we were 12 hours exactly from Dubai. So that'll give you an idea where they are. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Sure.
Yeah.
So you could listen to FT8, obviously. I've noticed that when you get over there in some of these countries, they've got a lot of what do you call it? They're trying to block the communications because some of these frequencies are used for military purposes. So you'll find a lot of interference and stuff like that. Let's go to 14074. And yeah, there's a little bit of, even though it's early, there's a little bit of FT8 activity going on there. And if we brought up the FT8 extension and chose that frequency of 14074 and just let it decode there for a second, it'll pop up the stations that are being heard by that station.
Oh, okay. So it shows up in the decoder window right there. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, so we're listening to that station in Qatar, and now we chose through the extension on that receiver FT8, and these are the stations it's picking up. It looks like it's picking up a W4DWS. That's a W5. Those are stateside. Here's an Israeli call 4x4 or 4x1 UF. You can just use the scroll wheel on your mouse to scroll back up, as it keeps advancing the window every time it decodes. Here's Turkey. There's Spain. Here's Hungary. I've kind of memorized some of these. There's Greece. Yeah. Oh, here's what is that? Oh, when you click on these, here's another thing. When you click on it, it takes you to the QRZ.com page. And so you can actually see that call that operator and what he's got there. Let me see here. Let me put my call sign in here real quick. Okay, so that was EPAES, and that's Iran. There you go. So there's an Iranian station operating FT8 right now. Yep. There's it's his Mohammed, I guess, is his first name.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Here's a bunch of information about him and all that kind of thing. Now we go back to the page, and you can see him talking to people or working him, or other people making contact with him again. Now, if you're operating, here's another thing you could do. You can, if you're operating FT8 on a particular mode or whatever, you can bring up the FT8 receiver somewhere and see if they're picking you up, just to kind of see how good your antenna is working and your radio is working.
Interesting. Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. It opens the whole world of being able to explore and just see kind of what's out there. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, sure is. And of course, I listen to a lot of digital stuff, but it's really good for a sideband. You can listen to common everyday conversations. And guys, just sound like they're in the U.S. Some of them are speaking a foreign language more often overseas than they are here. But it's fun to just kind of makes the world a little smaller when you just kind of listen to everybody talking pretty much about the same thing, breakfast or whatever, going to work. It's kind of neat to listen into.
Doctor appointments.
Yeah, doctor's appointments. Oh, for sure. Oh, let's see here. There's one. What do we got? We got a few more minutes here. There's one more extension that's kind of interesting. I played with this just the other day. It's called HFDL. Who's a pilot? Any pilots here in our group? Commercial pilots that flew overseas or anything? Oh, wait a minute. Let's see here. What these are? The airplanes are sending out a code, and let me see if I can find one here. Find one in New York. Let's see. Let's pick this frequency, this time of day. Let's pick this frequency and see if there's anything on it. But what it does is you can bring up a map. These are the receiving stations around the world. And if you get the right frequency and you're listening to the right frequency at the right time of day, and you can tell by the waterfall whether there's transmissions on that frequency, you'll start seeing airline IDs and stuff like that pop up. You have to go down here you have to scroll down to get to a station for the time of day you're at. And right now, let's try Iceland here for some reason. Let's try Iceland 75720. Yeah, there's some activity on it for sure. You can see it right there on the waterfall. Yep, there's a burst of something. Let's see what pops up here. Here's the Iceland receiving station up here. It takes a little while for it to populate, but so these are primarily transmissions of planes. Instead of ADS-B, this is HF, so they can track airliners out over the oceans using this particular mode. And you kind of have to play around with the frequency and everything in order to capture a little bit of activity there. There's so many different extensions here. There's even a where you can triangulate. There's a method, and you can go onto YouTube and find more information. There's not a help mode on here or a page or anything. Oh, and you can do it like you can turn on an S meter, and it'll graph. It'll graph the whatever signal you're listening to. Let's come over here to this one now. There you can see it kind of went up a little bit. So you can graph the S meter. Got some NavTech stuff, LORAN, the old LORAN stuff. Some of this is beyond me. So, you can do weather facts. You can click on the facts. And you can select a frequency and all that kind of stuff, and it'll start decoding weather facts onto the screen. So there's all kinds of stuff built in. Normally you'd have to, like have a separate piece of software running on another computer, and you take the audio from your receiver into that in order to receive it. But this has it built in. So
very cool.
Yeah.
Is there any last minute questions before we wrap it up? Anybody out there got anything else? I don't see anything in the chat really. Is there anybody else with another question before we say goodnight?
Yeah, this is Bill. I have a question for Jack. Jack, is the reverse beacon network located up on the mesa?
It is. And I'll put the reverse beacon network, I'll put the address in the chat, and then I'll put it on the
and I'll pull all of these links we'll pull off, and when we post this video, we'll put it all in the description on YouTube so you can get to it pretty quick.
Yeah, so this is my skimmer up there at the Mesa. This address will only take you to the CW. It only decodes CW and RTTY. But right now it's just decoding CW. And so here's one that popped up on 14050. If you wanted to see, it also decodes FT8. And the way to see that is to go to PSK Reporter and type in my call sign, and then select all modes and hit go. And basically it'll see the last 24 hours. This will show you everything that the skimmer is receiving for all the modes, mainly FT8 is right here. And you can see the gray line right here. Now I'll give you a heads up. I was up at the test site today. I've got an issue with the skimmer. It seems like it goes to sleep on me. I changed out the micro SD card. I thought I had it cured, but it seems like it's still doing that on occasion. So if you go here and you don't see any activity, then it might be asleep again. But the way it sounds like Bill, you know all about the reverse beacon network. But if you're a CW operator, you call CQ and you put your call sign in here. Let's say, let's see, I'm not sure who's active right now, but if I take my call sign off here, this is all the stations that are being received around the world on the reverse beacon network. And let's select one. Let's try this AG4T. AG4T. Put him in there, and now you can see where his signal is being reached. And I bet I'm receiving him. So if I put my call sign over here to the spotter, I'm not hearing him. Okay, take that back out. So if you get on here and start calling CQ, what you do is you put your call sign in this window right here, right where I put in the AG4T, and then you can see the signal strength that they're receiving you at and who the station is that received you. Yep, you can see that he's still on the air calling CQ apparently, and he's still being spotted by the reverse beacon network. A lot of times they call it RBN. Did that answer your question, Bill?
Yeah, I've got reports from your station several times, and much appreciated. It's very handy.
Yeah, the nice thing about having a skimmer right here in southwestern Utah is because if you see it showing up on the skimmer, chances are you can work it. You've got propagation coming into this area of the United States, of the Southwest. So it's really useful, and also to check your own signal and how far out people are hearing you and how well they're hearing you. So good. I'm glad you're getting some use out of that.
Keith, a comment for you.
Yeah, go right ahead.
When he was mentioning airplanes, I think Tom does a little airplane scatter. If we could find somebody maybe to do a presentation on airplane scatter.
Okay. We'll look into that for sure. We can start checking around and maybe even find somebody, if not local, somewhere that wants to do a Zoom presentation for us. So we'll do that. I'll put that on the list. anything like that you guys are interested in, send it our way and we'll look into it for sure.
So one last comment, talking about ADSB and plane scatter. We've got 2 receivers up there that are receiving ADSB data. And so, so we're contributing to the Flight Radar 24 and all of those. It's a real good receiving site up there. It looks all the way past the Las Vegas airport. If you get an airplane that's up around 30-some thousand feet, you can actually, it's being received by the receiver.
And on Utah Hill, Larry Young has a ADSB up at the club site on Utah Hill as well. So,
oh, perfect. Yeah, that's great.
yeah.
That's a really good one up there, I think.
Yeah, 7,700 feet. So yeah, he's definitely hearing some stuff for sure.
Yeah, I've looked at his pattern, and he goes right over the top of that hill and right into California. So that's amazing.
Well, cool. Anybody else last minute? This is your last chance. If you got any questions for Jack, we're going to wrap it up. Come now. All right. Well, Jack, thank you for spending an hour with us. We appreciate it. I think it was kind of enlightening and gave us all something to check out. And we'll share the links when we let's see. Ivory, yeah, I see Ivory's just put something in the chat there. I'll get with you about that, Ivory, on the stubby antenna. Probably want to get you a better, longer antenna for your Baofeng for sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody else got anything?
Just want to say thanks, Jack. That was good stuff.
Yeah, Adam. Hey, thank you very much. I think you set up my my DMR radio for me.
Yeah, I remember, Jack. We had a good time. You gave me a good tour too. Yeah, it's still going good.
Thank you, sir.
Awesome. All right, guys.
All right, cool. Guys, thanks a lot very much. Appreciate you. And we'll send an email out when the link is on YouTube so you guys can come back and we'll put all the links that are in the chat in that YouTube description. So have a great night. Thank you all.
Thanks. See you.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah, I'll put a lot of these links into Group IO. Bye-bye, everybody.